I'm just going to let that sit there for a sec. What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OG GM, coming to you live, large and in charge. From a small island off the coast of Costa Rica, affectionately referred to as Site B because I made it up. It's 9:30 in the morning here on a lovely spring morning, maybe. Majorality action going on, so I don't know what's going on with the weather, but the moment it's gorgeous. It is the 26th day of June in the year of our Lord Hello Kitty 2023, and it is time to, unfortunately, take out our compass, look at our maps, open up our sextant, and sextant. Set sail, see how the winds of the tabletop role-playing game news will be blowing us in which direction. And as you know, we now split this up into two separate categories. We do the everything that's not related to Wizards of the Coast and everything that is related to Wizards of the Coast. But now we have combined these. Now it's basically non-controversial, controversial. Though I guess some of the news, you know what? I don't even know anymore. Basically, I've separated this to anything that isn't related to the OSR / Wizards of the Coast nonsense and everything else. So here's what's going on in the world of the Wizards of the Coast OSR TSR nonsense for the week. Number one story, James M. Ward, suspended from a page called Old School TSR Gamers. James M. Ward. Now, maybe there's some of you who don't know who James M. Ward is. James M. Ward. So, yeah. Just to remind you, James M. Ward was one of the players in the early Greyhawks games designed by a gentleman named Gary Gygax that helped develop Dungeons & Dragons. He is the creator of the Dungeons & Dragons character Darwin of Darwin Instant Summons. He is sometimes referred to as Jim Ward in the books. He created Gods, Demigods, and Heroes. He created Metamorphosis Outlaw. He helped write Deities and Demigods. He helped write Pools of Radiance. He helped write the Assassin class and then removed it. His help was part of the Spellfire. He worked on the Dragon Ball Z collectible card game. He's done a lot of work with Margaret Weiss. He's done a lot of work with Troll Lord Games for Castles and Crusades. Maybe you've heard of Castles and Crusades. It's considered by many to be the standout successor to the legacy of Gary Gygax. He's written for the Gygax magazine since 2013. He's worked on the much maligned Giant Land setting for Wonderfield Games. Metamorphosis Alpha, Gamma World, Greyhawk Adventures, Gods and Monsters. He is one of the last remaining people who gamed with Gygax when Greyhawk was being creative. And these guys are like, oh no, you're not old school TSR enough. Find me somebody who's still alive who's more old school TSR than James M. Ward. Luking Ernie? Gale? I mean, I don't know. Definitely more old school DSR, definitely more old school D&D, definitely more old school Gygax than some of the other people out there who claim they're Gygax, the Brosr people, Scott Garraby, all these other people out there who claim, this guy was there and you're suspending him and then you won't tell him why. And then apparently they also suspended Margaret Weiss. Now, you might not know the name James M. Ward, but Margaret Weiss, mother of Dragonlance, Ravenloft. So, yeah. Not sure where to go from here. But apparently there are people out there who feel they know more about old school TSR, old school D&D, Gygax D&D, rules as written than the people who are actually there, the people who actually knew and spoke to and worked on. I know more about Gygax than Dungeons & Dragons does. I know more about Gygax than his kids do. I know more about Gygax than anybody else in the world. These people. And that moves us on to the next story, which is this whole BROSR, racism, anti-Semitism thing, which has just gotten way out of proportion. Somehow this all sort of relates to the fact that today, my friend, the basic expert, is interviewing Jethro from the BROSR. I had a brief interaction with Jethro from the BROSR about a year ago. It never went anywhere. I'm not even sure if Jethro is really his real name or it's just the character he chooses to play on Twitter and Facebook. And what do you call it? YouTube. Much like, the OGGM and the character I played before the OGGM, GM Grumpy, are both characters that I play. They are accentuated versions of me, the actual me in real life, where I accentuate certain personality traits and certain characteristics to, create this character that presents to you the news in a sarcastic, sometimes wrong, very humorous way. My brief interaction with Jethro a year ago, some of the stuff I've read about him makes you wonder whether this is actually what Jethro thinks or is this a character he tends to play. Makes the same with Ginny D. Is the things that come out of Ginny D's mouth things that Ginny D actually thinks? Or is it just Ginny D is a character that Ginny D is choosing to play when she's on screen? And, what Ginny D in real life is like in the Ginny D character is completely different. Now, this nonsense and the Jethro making statements that are anti-Semitic and people defending him for saying anti-Semitic things, and then somehow this involves Pundit, and now there's something going around that Pundit is making fake accounts to troll people, and I have lost track. At least 2 different people are now claiming they're going to be doing lawsuits because of this has gotten so carried away. So I don't even know where to go with this anymore. But it's pretty ridiculous when some people are like, okay, if you keep saying this stuff, I'm contacting a lawyer. Now, if the things Jethro said were actually anti-Semitic and there are people out there who are defending his anti-Semitism, well, that's just completely wrong. It's disgusting. But I haven't seen what he said. He will be being interviewed today, and I'll be watching the interview with some interest, like I'm sure a lot of other people are. How much of what comes out of his mouth is real? How much of what comes out of his mouth is the character? The same with Pundit. I mean, is Pundit an actual person or is it a character this individual chooses to play? Because when you see him on live stream, he's definitely charactered out. He's got the scarf, he's got the pipe, So is this who I really am, or is this just a character I choose to play? Where does the line draw, and where does the line draw for the things that we are saying? But if you're following the news for the continuing destruction of the OSR thing and the gaming culture in general, which is both a good and a bad thing. I mean, there's a lot of ugliness coming out of there. But then there's stuff, that come out of good of this. This is going to be a forest fire. And then now we're going to be, hopefully something out of this will be beneficial. Ginny D responded to a comment I made. She made a comment about something and I responded, and she engaged in a brief conversation with me. And I'm like, wow, Ginny D talking to me? That's pretty cool. We know I've had some not nice things to say about Miss D in the past, but I also understand that Ginny D's audience expects Ginny D to behave in a specific way. And so a lot of what Ginny D says is the character Ginny D. As for what Ginny D really thinks, sometimes it breaks through and sometimes you realize maybe she's not as, some of the stuff she said during the OGL nonsense and after the OGL nonsense was very interesting, very against type. And I think it goes to show, since she's no longer the official cute spokesgirl of Wizards of the Coast, she's been replaced by Jeannie Darling. Now, what's the difference between Jeannie D and Jeannie Darling? Jeannie Darling's more willing to show her titties than Jeannie D is, I guess. But yeah. So who knows? I was very surprised that Jeannie D had a conversation with me, even if it was very short. So thanks. I'm honored. I mean, maybe I don't respect her as much as I should, but I respect her work. I respect the fact that she invests so much in this character that sometimes it gets her in trouble, and she's making money. So God love her for making money. Maybe I don't always agree with the things that come out of her mouth, but she's keeping a roof over her head. She's keeping her family fed. She's doing things. So whatever. So yeah, we're just looking at this whole destruction of the OSR. Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast can't leave. I mean, they've been very quiet. They have, of course, not been 100% quiet. So we've got the whole fallout still from the what is and is not canon. We're going on the 3rd week of that now. Crawford again came out with the whole canon, not canon thing, and that has been accentuated by the release of a new Magic the Gathering set and the connection between that and then, of course, what's going on with GM's Guild, what's going on with Adventure League, what's going on with D&D 2024, Scott Steiner math, Wizards of the Coast math, Jeremy Crawford math. I could try and explain it, but after trying to explain it for about a minute, your brain starts to hurt. So yeah, just ignore anything that's coming out of Wizards of the Coast. But then they were quiet and they were like, okay, they're done. But then they released another trailer for Big B's August thing, Big B's Guide to the Giants. And they're very much focusing on the fact that Big B Giants, and how excited they are about this latest. And isn't it cool that Big B's taking time out to talk to us about Giants? Now, they have yet to explain what the connection between Big B and Giants is, because, I mean, other than maybe his fascination with spells about hands, Big B's giant hand, Big B's crushing hand, Big B's inquisitive hand. Maybe that's like, okay, well, he was really fascinated with giants, so he made all his spells around big hands. And then, or he's compensating for something. You know what they say about people with big hands? And then you look at the picture and we've got this gnome on a flying carpet flying past 3 giants, and he's got purple energy coming out of it. And they're very excited about this picture, except, of course, they have failed to mention not only what connection, if any, Big B has with giants. I mean, Mordenkainen's Guide to Multiversal Monsters. Well, yeah, it's Mordenkainen. We know he's traveled plenty of universes, so I'll give him that. Fizbin's Guide to Dragons. Well, yeah, who better to talk about dragons than a guy who is a dragon? Tasha's Cauldron of just sort of extra stuff. Sure, Tasha was a witch. She's got a cauldron. She's just pulling random crap out of that cauldron. Sure, I'll buy that. Xanthar's Guide to Everything. Why would a beholder want to be sharing this with us? I don't know, but sure. I guess I can see the connection. That one's a little of stretch, but yeah, but the Big B. And the second thing, of course, more importantly, is that is not Big B. That is not Big B on the cover. If you look at the official canon Wizards of the Coast TSR post on Big Bay, as updated, the last time it was updated and official was, I knew this, I checked it the other day, but it was early March. Because they had to update one of the little thingies in Wiki or whatever it is. Human wizard from Greyhawk that occasionally visited the Forgotten Realms. Now, that's not a human on the cover. That is a gnome on a flying carpet. Big B doesn't have a flying carpet. If you look at the list of all the magic items he's got on the official gnome flying carpet, and he's a human. So who is this gnome spitting out purple magic on a flying carpet? It's Scanlan. It is an outright, blatant ripoff of Scanlan from Critical Role, Sam's character of Infamy, who used Big B's Grasping Hand as his trademark spell, so much for that it got changed to Scanlan's hand, and he used the hand in a lot of, as we know, unusual ways. So there's the connection. Scanlan used a modified version of Big B's Grasping Hand, Big B's Overpowering Hand, whatever you want to call it. That became his trademark spell through the run of Critical Role Season 1, Vox Machina. We saw the hand again used for 2 seasons on the animated cartoon. It is mentioned dozens of times, Scanlan's association with Big B spell. So Wizards of Coast, in its infinite wisdom, had decided that instead of having a human casting the spells that he invented, we're going to have this blatant ripoff of Scanlan using purple magic, because Scanlan's magic is purple and pink, casting a spell that people might associate with Scanlan because he uses the Big B spells. Big B is human. I don't know who that is on the cover. I assume they'll explain it in the book. Maybe. Now remember, this book is canon only till January 1st. This book is official over to January 1st. Everything on the DM's Guild is official, at least till January 1st. Now, the only canon books are the Player's Handbook, the Monster Manual, and the DM's Guide. Wizards of the Coast doesn't seem to know the difference between canon and official, despite the fact that they use both words interchangeably. So, yeah. So, in closing, we've got the OSR destroying itself. We've got people now claiming that they're going to pursue legal actions against other people. We've got people claiming that they're using puppet accounts to attack other people. We've got other people who are dedicating themselves to exposing the puppet accounts. We've got Jethro being interviewed today, and apparently he has said some horrible things, and people have defended his right to say horrible things, but oh no, because I defend anti-Semitism doesn't mean I'm anti-Semitic. That's just my opinion, and it's okay. And it breaks down to, is this a real thing, or is it just people clout chasing a story because they know it'll get them attention? And is this just some, are these all people just playing characters to get attention? And oh my God, look at all the mistakes in today's post. Tabletop RPG F News with the OGM and Steve. What even does that mean? How come nobody told me it was messed up? Yeah, I don't know where to go with any of these stories. This OSR nonsense is become painful to read and try and stick together to make a legitimate line. So this will probably be the last time, at least till I bring it up again. I thought about dedicating every Friday a section of the news every Friday to this nonsense. But this whole, now I'm going to sue you, is now a thing. I'm going to sue you for saying bad things about me on the interweb. Because nothing's more American than suing somebody else. Yeah. Or maybe I'll never mention this again. At least the Wizards of the Coast stuff is easy to pick apart. This stuff, not so much. I guess in closing, we can just, let's just blame it on Scott Steiner math yet again. Just Scott Steiner math and the insanity of Wizards of the Coast. But I mean, come on! James M. Ward and Margaret Weiss aren't old school enough for you? You're more old school than J.M. Ward. You know more about Gygax than people who are actually there writing the game. I know more about Gygax. I'm blah, blah, blah. I can't prove it, blah, 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 but I do. I do know blah, blah. Well, you know what I know a lot about? I know a lot about the fact that you need to subscribe to this vlog and help me hit 2,000 subs by the end of the year because Gygax said so. Ooh. Yeah. No, he did it. That's bullshit. I've never met Gygax, as far as I know. Maybe I did. I might have met him. A lot of people hung out at Lost Fist when I hung out at Lost Fist. Gygax could have been there. I knew Gygax hung out at Lost Fist when he was living in California. So who knows? Maybe I did meet Gygax and never knew it. Met a lot of people when I was hanging out at Los Angeles Science Fiction and Fantasy Society back in those 80s, 70s days, and don't remember who I met. And then people are like years later going, oh yeah, you met him? Don't you remember? I'm like, no, dude, I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Don't expect me to remember something that happened 60 years ago. Till next time, I'm the OGGM. If you appreciate this nonsense, let me know. If you don't appreciate this nonsense, let me know. Yes, I know I'm a little scatterbrained today. The brain is only operating at 1%. I apologize. I'll be back with more stuff later, I'm sure. Until then, have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine. Summer is here, maybe, at least for a minute. Get off my land.